Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Get to Know Her show. I am your host, Monica Graves. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about today. My guest today has come into my life at exactly the right time, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. Before we get started and bring on our guest, I wanted to show you this top I'm wearing, guys. This is actually a retro. Well, it's not that retro. It's a few years ago from Brenda Bedome's collection, and I just love it. It's got all these little peepholes here, and it's so comfy, and it's in that nice bamboo fabric that she uses. Lots and lots of room around the middle, good airflow. I love this top. I love the pattern on it too. Now I know I'm making you jealous because this is an older item that you can't get anymore, but you should check out Brenda Bedome's website. The thing I love about her pieces is they're really good investments because her style is so classic. It never goes out of style. And I'm telling you, this is like 3 or 4 years old now, and it's just as nice as the day I got it. So make sure to treat yourself. It's not a piece of clothing that's going to be out of style or fall apart in 6 months. Plus, she's Canadian. We want to make sure we're promoting our Canadian designers, which you guys are so amazing at. So go to brendabedome.com. Please use that coupon code Get to Know Her because it's a big, big savings. It's going to get you 21% off, which is pretty much your HST and your shipping, which is wonderful. So without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest now, Elizabeth Tripp. I don't know if any of you guys had a chance to read my blog that I posted yesterday. I kind of was feeling like, I'm always honest in my blogs, but it was a real outpour because being over 50 now, plus the pandemic, things are not rocking and rolling for me like they used to, and I'm getting really frustrated. It's sort of like the pandemic, it's made me find myself, but at the same time, I feel like I've lost myself. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that. So it's been hard on all of us. I mean, there's weight gain, there's anxiety, there's also figuring out like, what's it going to be like when we get back out there in the world, when things go back to normal? Of course, we want it, but we're human beings, and human beings adapt really well to their environment. And sometimes it's adapting to a negative environment. Sometimes it's adapting to a positive one. Either way, that's what we do. And so that's a struggle, and it has been a struggle for me. So if you get a chance to check out my blog, if you're feeling that way, I'd love for you to read it. But the reason I'm telling you about it is because I wrote the blog, and I'd actually spoken with our guest, Elizabeth Tripp, last week, and we connected, and I knew a little bit about her. And then I went and wrote the blog. Then I was getting ready for the show and reviewing Elizabeth's bio, and oh my God, I was just like, I felt so happy and so full of love because everything was completely serendipitous. I was so meant to meet Elizabeth at this time in my life. I have a feeling you guys are too. And it was just like the universe presented her to me. And now we all get to meet her, and we get to learn about her, and she's got some amazing insight for us. So I do want to read you her bio. Elizabeth is a New York-based lifestyle design coach and spiritual teacher. As a featured radio talk show host on Nourish the Soul radio show and podcast, a Thrive Global contributor, and a national public speaker, Elizabeth is recognized as a thought leader in spirituality, well-being, and prosperity. She is the owner and founder of her website, elizabethtripp.com, and Tripp is spelled with 2 P's at the end, a life coaching practice where she awakens ambitious women and men to the beauty of the soul's journey by helping them see the true beauty of their body and their life. It is Elizabeth's calling to empower others to feel amazingly healthy, and radiate with pure joy because they love themselves and their life more than they ever have before. Elizabeth believes the secret to loving your body and your life starts with believing you deserve to and that you're worth it. She teaches her clients to see their own journey and create their own path by helping them understand who they really are and the purpose behind why they have chosen the body they have and the life they're leading. That's amazing. When Elizabeth's unique capacity for sensing and understanding the feelings of others, as well as her ability to feel and communicate with spirit guides and past loved ones, she serves as a bridge between spirit and her community while providing her tribe with permanent solutions to dissolving their struggles and with their well-being. Elizabeth is a registered dietitian nutritionist and holds a master's in nutritional sciences. She is a certified Usui Reiki practitioner, past life regressionist, transcendental meditation coach, and an apprentice under Alex Then, a master coach studying light, body healing, and the soul journey. You guys, turn all the devices off and just let's get into it. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Here's Elizabeth.
Wow.
Oh, I want to cry. I want to jump up and down. I want to skip. I want to spin on my roller skates. I want to bawl my eyes out. I love you already.
Oh, Monica, thank you for the beautiful introduction. You know, I am very, very grateful to be here and to be of service to your community. That is a wonderful gift. So thank you for having me and, you know, sharing with the world that beautiful introduction. When I hear it, I think, oh, I should probably just make myself so much smaller because really, I only know just a drop in the ocean. And that's really how I feel about the knowledge that I hold. It's just a tiny little drop in the big entire ocean that we have out in front of us.
Oh, that's amazing. So that just means you're open to receive more and more drops as they come. That's so great.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, we all want to know what you wanted to be when you grew up. What was little Elizabeth thinking about back then?
Oh my goodness. That is such a beautiful question. I've actually not been asked that ever before on an interview. What was my little Elizabeth yearning for when she was little? You know, I loved to dance and sing. And I loved to like put on a show for my parents, and I would perform in front of them like the songs to Disney movies. And I would practice a lot with myself before I would go out
Yeah.
and do it. And I'd create sort of a song with the nature, you know, with the bees and the butterflies and the plants. And I'd have them sit and be real quiet. And then I would just share myself with them. And so I always wanted to share something with people and to give them a smile and to bring joy to their lives. And I always wanted them to, you know, feel good in my presence. So that was like my first sort of presence to wanting to share myself with others and do good in the world. I would imagine those are the experiences that really lit me up.
Wow, that's amazing. And having that, you know, from being a little girl, did you sort of have to develop boundaries along the way where you maybe got into people pleasing because you were so focused on giving joy?
Oh, yeah.
Did you struggle with that?
Yeah, well, as a little girl, you know, I was very sensitive, as my parents called it. You know, as I know it now, I was just empathic. So I could feel and sense and understand beyond what the capacity others could see and even know. So when I was very, very little, spirits started to come to me and share themselves with me. And so that was sort of the first time I was like, whoa, what is this? And not knowing quite what that was or how to understand it, thinking it was a ghost or a monster, and not quite really even knowing if it was possible I could have boundaries with it. So those first early on experiences of seeing things that other people couldn't and then feeling the emotions of my own family members, it was a lot for a little girl to have to personally go through on her own, because as I was expressing what I was going through. My lovely, beautiful parents, they just didn't have the tools and the understanding of how to fully really support me in all that I was experiencing. So I can certainly
Wow.
share more about that if you'd like.
Yeah, that, and I'm interested to know how you felt that spirit world, if it was a feeling of energy or were you actually seeing
Yeah.
things, or yeah, what was that like for you?
Well, I remember I was just about 5 years old, and my parents had just put me to bed in our upstairs room that I had. So it was
Mhm.
dark and it was quiet. We grew up in a rural town, so there wasn't a lot of loud noise outside. And I remember I was just about to close my eyes, and before me at the end of the bed, there began to form a shape of an old woman. Except to me, she had like a curved back and a long nose and like wrinkled skin. And so my mind immediately went to thinking, oh my gosh, there's a witch at the end of my bed. I mean, that is the only context I could reach into as a 5-year-old as to what I was seeing.
Mhm.
And I was terrified, Monica. I had no idea. And so I put the covers underneath my head and I felt her presence come close to me. And she started to ask and say, do you live here? This is my house. And I was like, oh, what? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to put the pillows around me. She can't get me if I'm surrounded by my pillows. So I
Right.
start putting pillows around me and FYI to everybody, ghosts as we know them, or spirit as I call them, or beings as they are, she just poked her finger all the way through the pillow and she said, hey, I'm talking to you. And I was like,
Wow.
ah. And so I prayed that night for her to please leave me alone, and that I was so scared. And so I was holding
Yeah.
myself underneath the barricade until the sunlight came up. And when the sunlight came up, she disappeared. And I remember running down into my parents' room and I said, Mom, Dad, there was a witch in my room. It was so scary. And my mom, she's so beautiful. She kind of half opened her eyes and said, honey, there's no such thing. What an imagination. And she kind of came out and said, we can just lay you down on the couch. You can lay down here. Well, I slept on the couch for another 13 years because the witch never went away. And it seemingly I couldn't help myself in a way to understand it because no one was really giving me any support to really understand. So I started to
Mm.
think, man, there's something really wrong with me. I'm different. There's something messed up about what's going on for me. And then I remember, Monica, was the first time I created an opinion about myself that was negative.
Oh, wow. My God.
Yep.
Wow. And
Yeah.
and you see, this is such a great example of how like trauma can happen to us even when we're surrounded by love,
Yeah.
because your parents not having the experience with it, they're dismissing it, but also validating you and allowing you to sleep on the
Yeah.
couch.
Yeah.
But then you're not in your bedroom and all your friends are in their bedrooms.
Yeah.
And so what's wrong with me? Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah. And it was a lot to
Amazing.
process, because I'm
Mhm.
still being visited and they're coming in different shapes and forms because as one knew I could see and hear them, it was like they called in their friends and said, we have a antenna, a radio light
Yeah.
that can transmit our own questions. And we have wanting to ask her something, and so they all were coming and seeing me. And I just was so terrified. So
Mm.
I really felt overwhelmed. And that really led me to kind of look around, Monica, and think, well, what can I do to help myself? There's at a
Mhm.
point where we just try to figure out ways to soothe ourselves.
Yeah.
And I saw that a lot of the ways that my own family was dealing with their own emotions was with sweets and treats and like cookies. And so I remember going into the kitchen. You can relate, right?
I've become the COVID cookie monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah. Anyways,
Well,
Please
when you're
continue. This is,
uncomfortable,
yeah.
right? You find
Mm-hmm.
something that will bring you comfort. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
5, using my 5-year-old mind,
Yeah.
and it's like, "Oh, the Doritos are really good, and they make me feel good." And
Mm,
I temporarily alleviate this uncomfortability.
yeah.
And, "Oh, the cookies, they taste nice." And that feels really good for my body because it's soothing me. And the funny thing is that I didn't realize is that I was really pushing down my own emotion. And
Mm.
as I was doing that, well, my little body became a big body. And that is
Wow.
how I started to put on pounds when I was little. And, no one really addressed anything. But by the time I was in the 6th grade, I was the height I am today, about 5 feet 6 inches, but I weighed nearly 175 pounds. So for a 12-year-old, that's
Wow.
relatively bigger than the other little girls, in the grade.
Oh
Um,
my God.
yeah, and the little boys,
Wow.
they made it really clear that I knew that I was different, that my shape was bigger. So I was
Mm.
teased for 3 years, nonstop, about my shape and size. And
Wow.
that was another beautiful experience where I shaped an opinion of myself. I made meaning out of their teasing to be that I was ugly, that I was not beautiful, and that it began a story that built upon already I needed fixing, that I was messed up, there was something wrong with me, to then other people's reactions and opinion of me were more valuable than how I saw myself, and that I needed to fix myself and to be able to put myself together in a way that people would love and accept me. So change my body, change my appearance, become
Mm.
thin, become beautiful, as in the standard paradigm that was being, sort of out there at the time.
Wow.
And so in like 12 to, I would say, 18 months, I lost 60 pounds. So by the time I went into 9th grade, I was what we consider rail thin. And people told me I was beautiful.
Wow.
And yet,
Oh
you
my
wanna know the
God.
wild thing? I
Yeah. You didn't
didn't believe
feel
it.
it.
No.
Yeah.
I thought at this point, because I had collected so many opinions of myself, I'm still messed up. I'm never gonna be enough. It's hard to love me. And I had to do so much work. I had to, put so much pressure on myself,
Mhm.
to be, in the eyes of others, the standard of beauty. And it was a lot of work and a lot of pain.
Wow.
Yeah,
And how did you get through that? Like, there's a couple things I want to know how you worked
sure.
through that, and also at what point did you let the spirit into your life, these forms that, like where you were
Yeah.
okay with that? Because
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
Well, interestingly, at this point in high school, I was pushing down that ability so much because the fear was so big, and I had no capacity of really quite getting what I was, able to tap into. So I really buried that part of myself. And it was almost as though I had to lock it away inside of myself in like a certain area that every so often it would show up, spirit would present itself, or I would get a transmission and channel something, and loved ones or friends would say, "How do you know that?" And I would just kind of brush it off like, "I don't know. I just knew." But you marry that with then someone who's become very insecure
Mm-hmm.
and really very concerned about what other people think. And it's a recipe for someone who's very emotionally unstable and was seeking, a lot of external validation. And it was a very overwhelming period. And that actually lasted for about 17 years. So I
Okay.
used drugs and
Mm-hmm.
alcohol, and relationships. I was a serial dater
Mm-hmm.
to help myself kind of get through all this big storm I felt like I was moving through,
Right.
and never really ever seemingly being able to get out of it. So it was a 17-year journey where so happily so many beautiful things transformed, went to school to become a nutritionist because that has been my main focus since I was
Yeah.
little, you know.
Right.
And I knew I always wanted to bring joy and bring people happiness as I
Yeah.
shared myself with them. And I thought, well,
Right.
what an awesome way to give them, something beautiful through changing their own relationship with their body. Yet, Monica, because I was going through so much and I had so much of my own baggage, I often would sit across from people and think, I'm a fraud, you
Yeah.
know?
You had the imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they wanted me to fix them. Yeah, I felt broken.
Mm.
And I was needing fixing because I was in my 20s living in New York, binge drinking, partying,
Mhm.
really living a lifestyle where on the weekends everything went out the window because I was trying to find peace and calm from all the craziness that I was felt was swirling in my mind.
Mhm.
And
You just wanted to shut everything off, I guess, eh? Yeah.
yeah, because I was never going to be the perfect shape and size. And I was already broken.
Mm.
And, people, it was difficult for them to love me. Now, these are the ways that I was talking to myself.
Wow.
And yet I was working at a world-class hospital, supposedly an authority who could, bring people health and well-being to their life, give them a plan to follow, and that would be the secret to their, problem. Yet it always was apparent to me that there must be something deeper going on because anything I would give them, even if it was a beautiful channel, so unknowingly, they always seem to struggle to be able to really actually follow through and love themselves. It was always a battle, you know,
Wow.
like that we were living in a paradigm that well-being was so far out from our reach
Yeah.
because who we were physically wasn't enough. And that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
So interestingly, to go back to your question, like, how did
Mhm.
I get to be where I am today?
Yeah.
Well, I hit a rock bottom. And it was in 2015. As I spoke, I was, in a space in my life where I was seeking sort of the approval and validation from others. So in my relationships, I got involved with men who were a mirror image of myself, and we would have a lot of conflict, and there was a lot of miscommunication. And I got
Mhm.
involved with someone who was very special. I had a very deep connection with them, but we would bring up our old paradigms and a lot of our own stories with each other. And it just never seemed to be able to work. And it was a
Right.
very difficult 4-year experience. And I wanted to marry him. I wanted to fix it and have
Mm.
it work. But one day he came to me and he said, I just don't see a future with you, and I can't love you the way you deserve. And that was really hard because I was nearing my 30th birthday. And my whole life, I had lived under another paradigm, which was you get a good education, you make good money, you
Mm.
get married, and you have kids.
Yeah.
And here I'm like nearly 30, and now all like that big major box of marriage and children
Yeah.
is left unchecked. So now I'm like a bad apple, or there's something really going on with Elizabeth.
Mhm.
And that breakup just it really shook me. And I remember being on my couch and there were tears streaming down my face, and I thought, I'm never going to find someone who's going to love me. I'm just never going to be loved, and I'm not beautiful, and I always seem to mess things up. And I
Wow.
just felt like nothing I did was satisfying. It was like, okay, I help people, but they don't even get it. They come back to me and they're still struggling. And here they are thinking I'm going to fix them when I'm feeling so shattered in myself.
Yeah.
And I thought about taking my own life because it was so hard. you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, if this is the next 30, 40, 50 years, why would I even want to live another minute of it?
Mm-hmm.
And I hatched a plan to do that. I had figured out a way to make that happen. And I was on the edge of really following through with it. And a friend came to me and she said, there's something really going on with you, because as I was going through the breakup, I locked myself in my own apartment in Manhattan. I didn't want to go out, didn't want to eat. I just wanted to just be like isolated. And that wasn't the nature of me. And she said, I need to offer you this. Would you consider meeting a healer? He lives in Virginia Beach. And I thought, what? Virginia Beach, a healer? Because I'd always been so curious about the universe and spirit and healing, but yet never
Yeah.
had the tools or the know-how or the courage to explore it because of my history. And there was a tiny little voice inside my head, because we had vacationed in Virginia Beach when I was little. So, oh, well, that's a cool place. And you should just go. It was so
Oh
tiny,
my God.
and I heard it. He's like, you should just go. And I know that now to have been my own intuition, my spirit guides, angels. But they, in the very beautiful way, I took action from that voice, and I got into a car a few days later, and I remember driving up to a house and thinking, this just looks like a normal house. How come he's not living in a temple?
Right.
He's a healer. Where's like
Yeah.
the shrine, Because
Yeah.
I was in my mind, I had made such an image of what he would be like. And I get out of the car, and this gentleman comes, and he's got soft eyes and a nice demeanor, and he's nothing like I imagined he would look like. And he said, I've been waiting for you. I said, you've been
Wha-
waiting for me? And he said, yes, I have. And he said, you've been wanting to be powerful for a long time. And I swear, the way he said it, it was as though he hit right at the center of my soul. I wasn't even a human anymore. I was just a soul connecting to another soul. And
God.
he had answered the question that had been really pining me my whole life. Why am I so powerless in my existence?
Oh my God.
And I started to cry. I started to cry because I had figured out that this meeting, even though he had said one sentence, was going to transform my life.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Wow.
And it did. I sat in
God.
his living room. It looked like a living room like everybody else lives in.
Yeah.
And he helped me see the source of my pain and shame in a very gentle and beautiful way. And he helped me understand the meaning I made of other people's reactions. Like my mom, she didn't know, she was scared, but
Yeah.
I made it mean I was messed up, that something was wrong with me. When she's just so
Right.
beautiful, I just picked her so nicely and all
Yeah.
for a purpose.
Yeah.
And those boys, I had a contract with them. We agreed on something, and that this was necessary for me in this journey to learn what true beauty was. That was not
Mhm.
physical, or what was a standard that was culturally acceptable. And that was so powerful. I mean, these were over some times, but
Yeah.
in session that I worked with him, but he just helped me unravel the mystery of pain that I was so deeply woven into in my mind.
Right.
And he opened me up to what I know now are soul lessons, important things that we have to go through in our life in order to learn something very, very powerful, very valuable about who we really are in this journey. And after a few times, the pain from that breakup started to dissolve, and I could let go of thinking that, you know, that was the end all be all. And I started to, as he and I started to discover more about who I was, learn that the gift I had to see spirit, to hear spirit,
Mm.
and to sense what people were feeling and going through, that was a superpower. And it was
Mm.
going to actually be a tool that I could use to transform other people's lives. And that my knowledge of the body and the struggles I'd been through, so many people had been where I had been with myself, that I could use my own story and the ability to use information from the other side to help them to get to the source of what was paining them in their life with their bodies, with their own relationship with themselves and their well-being. And I thought, that's it.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, because I'm not just giving someone a meal plan and saying, go do this and go fix yourself. I was actually shining a light on their soul's journey, helping them see the meaning of the experiences they've been through and the ways that they had created their own story, their own opinion about themselves that was hurting them,
Mm-hmm.
hurting their body, hurting their own relationship with themselves, and free them by just helping them see themselves differently, learn something about themselves. So that's what
Yeah.
I do.
That is amazing. My God.
I
That
love
is
it.
so incredible. How long did you work with this man?
Well, we still work together. He's such a
Great.
beautiful soul. I really,
Yeah.
he's so beautiful. So we still work together. We've been through
Yeah.
many trainings, and he very early on, he said, you're very powerful, and I'd like to bring you under my wing, and we'll do what we call an mentorship, and you'll study my principles, and you will get to know how I work. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, wow, like this is the most incredible opportunity I've ever had. So I studied under him, introduced him to all my family as my teacher. My parents got to know him. So they all know him as this beautiful mentor in my life that has guided me to create a life
Mm-hmm.
that I love.
Wow.
Yeah. And now
My
I
God.
get to do that special thing for other people.
That is absolutely incredible. I am so happy you shared that story. That's
Yeah.
wow. And
So it's
I
only
and
been about 5 years. So just FYI, that was the time frame. About 5 years.
yeah, yeah. And I just want to acknowledge like all that pressure and suffering and that heaviness that you carried. It's
Yeah.
I am so so happy that you were able to release that, and
Thank you.
yeah. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth. So, I think this is so great to talk about today because it's such a strange time right now where
Mm.
you're in the States, you guys are starting to open up more than we
Yeah.
are here. I think we're the worst province in Ontario in all of
Wow.
Canada that's
I've heard
behind.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of, I think people are excited for the reopening, but there's also a lot of apprehension about it. I can only speak for myself personally. There are things that I was doing pre-COVID that I don't want to do post-COVID. And I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that's going to be sustainable or if I'm going to be able to do those things. That's sort of like where my anxiety level is right now, I'd say.
Sure.
And then there's also this whole feeling of having had all of this time. I mean, the pandemic itself is awful, but the time that we have been given really is a gift. So much reflection, so much opportunity to look inside. So, as much as I think a lot of us feel like we really know ourselves, we also feel so lost. Just how do
Mm.
we step back out into this? Plus, we're all, I mean, I don't mean this disrespectfully or anything because I'm
Sure.
one of them, but, going for my morning walks, I look at all of the people walking, everyone's got bellies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so everyone's been a little kid who needed a cookie for 17 months.
Sure.
And those cookies probably have amounted to 15 or more
Sure.
pounds for a lot of us. So I think that there's a lot of shame around that. I think that people are thinking, shit, I just had 17 months where I could have worked on myself. I could have got in shape. I could have this, I could have that. I could have started a new business. I could have, and I've done nothing. I sat
Mm-hmm.
here on my ass and I got fat. Like, and all of
Mm-hmm.
that self-sabotage, terrible messaging,
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that a lot of that is going on right now. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you
Beautiful.
about that and
Yeah. Yeah.
how,
I
yeah.
totally, I totally can feel the resonance to specifically your community, and I want
Mm-hmm.
to set the stage for them to invite them to, open their heart to a new perspective. And that would include that if we could have the willingness to see that everything in our life happens for a good reason. Everything in our life, even if we call it bad, it happens still in the end for a good reason. So that means that in every experience that we face, even if they're a challenge or there may be hurt or there may be pain, there is something good that can come from it. And if we can come from that perspective, then we can begin to sort of look at the pandemic as a space or opportunity to really more deeply get to know who we are, get to know what it is that we need to, maybe see in ourselves that prior to this experience, we didn't have the time or
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have the patience to actually do.
Right.
So if you've reached this point where you're about to open up and you're recognizing that there's an uncomfortability, there's an anxiety, and your body is now having more weight on it, then
Mm-hmm.
guess what? Your body's just sending you a message. It's just saying, during this time, you didn't quite get everything you needed from the experience, and that's okay because I need to just, get a little bit more. I have to figure out a way to wake you up a little bit more. So I'm going to put a little belly on you because you've been eating the cookies to feel good. So
Yeah.
there's something that you're thinking up here in your mind that actually isn't very healthy for you. That's
Mm.
all the body's saying. That's all it's saying is there's something up here that you're not thinking that's creating an emotion that you don't know how to process. So you do what you know, what our 5-year-old little minds
Yeah.
know. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And now the body's saying, "Hi, I have something to tell you." Remember, the body is so intelligent. It is so intelligent. And when it's not in what we consider balance, it will show us, and so that we can quickly and easily get back into balance and harmony with ourselves. So the
Right.
body's just, if we carry extra weight, it's a love note from our higher self through the expression of the body to say, hey, let's slow down and start to investigate why.
Yeah. Would you say the same goes for pain, Elizabeth? As I grab my hip here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're following me then. You're really getting what
Yeah.
I'm putting down. It's landing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The pain or the ache or the dis-ease,
Mm-hmm.
that's a message from the body. And the body has wisdom within it because get this, Monica, what other being have you spent your entire life with and has been through every single experience you've been through
Yeah. Nobody. Yeah.
aside from your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has all the records of everything you've ever experienced, tasted, touched, smelled, have had the privilege to go through. The body
Mm-hmm.
knows everything about you and it hears everything you think. And
Yes.
yes, okay, land
Yes.
that,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, the thinking. Can we talk about that for a minute? Because,
sure.
there's all these great things flying through Facebook and Instagram about, don't believe the thoughts in your head. They are lies. Don't listen to that, and, I mean, sure, I agree with that. And I also agree with the mindfulness of, okay, let's turn that off and let's start up a different dialogue.
Yeah.
But like you say, those thoughts that we're having that are negative or,
Yes.
sabotaging our happiness,
Yeah.
they do come from experiences we have had. They don't just
Yes.
come from outer space, right? Like
Exactly.
yeah.
Take it from my own
So,
story, right? It's like
mm-hmm,
the boys teasing me. Well, they're just boys being boys, we could say, right? They learned
mm,
to be a bully from somewhere in their life. And it just happened to be that that's how they were relating with me. Yet I made it mean I was ugly.
mm,
So I now have that opinion when I'm little. And that brings up a lot of shame and embarrassment. And if Monica, I don't know how to process that and it's left unprocessed, it's going to be very uncomfortable for me. And I'm going to do what I know. So my mind will reference, okay, go in the kitchen, look for cookies, and soothe yourself. Because remember when you did that when you were little?
mm-hmm,
And so that's what I learned to do until I made a choice that I was going to change who I was. And rather than in a powerful way, use the opinion and the reactions of others as a source to be my own value or how I saw myself. So it swung me to the opposite way. So it's
wow.
just getting like present to what kinds of opinions do you have about who you are because they really shape your own relationship with yourself and your
Mm-hmm.
behaviors too.
That's so interesting because I mean, again, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like it might be relatable for a lot of people where I have opinions of myself from other people, their negative opinion of me, where I'm, I can identify that it's not real or that they're not understanding or whatever it is. I can logically put that all together. But like you, I mean, I grew up the people pleaser. I mean, I could have gotten an award for that.
Yeah.
But so I still deep down feel I must have done something wrong. How can I fix this? How can I show them that I'm not who they think I am? Because I don't want them to think that way. And then so my self-soothing with that would be, let's have a glass of wine. Let's have another
Yeah.
glass. I want to numb out because I don't want to think about that anymore. Like it's that balance of I'm trying to control it. So now the cookie becomes the wine as an adult. And, you can see how people, you know, you're, I'm not saying we're all alcoholics, but I can see how people really want to self-medicate now. Like, and people are now, there's more, access. We're legalized with marijuana and there's CBD oil, there's THC, there are all these different ways that it's sort of like the Gen X's, we're all self-medicating with all these different things. And even this past weekend, it was the long weekend, the May 2-4, and I said, I'm not going to drink this weekend. I'm not going to have a beer. Nothing. I'm not going to have anything. I'm going to have, my mom is also a beautiful soul. She's been grating ginger and putting her fizzy water in it. I'm like, I'm going to drink that all weekend because I feel inflammation in my joints. This is what I'm going to do for myself. And now they have wine in the grocery stores here,
Yeah.
which they haven't always had. Oh my God. I picked up a bottle of organic white wine because it said organic on it. And I was like, well, this is, and then I put it back. I'm like, no, 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 we're not. But it wasn't it wasn't a nice, soothing voice. It was
Yeah.
like, effing stop it, like swearing at myself,
Right.
and it's almost like scolding the little kid or something, that negative voice.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
highlight to you, like first and foremost, this is a very vulnerable share. So I want to,
Yeah.
give you that, gratitude for going to the space with us because, you're opening up something that's very deep and really, really very vulnerable. So thank you for sharing this.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
yeah, because it speaks to so many people. It speaks to
Mm.
so many people. And really the beauty of it all is that there's just something really beautiful. You need to shift in the way that you understand yourself to shift out of the behavior. It's just, it sounds very
Yeah.
simple, and yet we make it so complex, and we find so many ways to make ourselves wrong and to shame and to think we're always going to fail. When really, the beauty of it is that there's something that happened in our past experience that shaped the way or the opinion that we have of ourselves. It's not good or bad. It's just an opportunity for us to see, do we like what it produces in our life? And if we don't, then we can actually go back and, with help or guidance, get to the bottom of it and shift it. And
Mm.
that's how we get a new outcome. You are not a bad person. There's nothing broken about you. Personally, you don't need fixing according to the way I see you. You are whole. You are
Mm.
healed. You're healthy right now. It's just you need to wake up to that. And when you do,
Right.
those things will naturally shift. It can be easy.
Mm.
It really
Hmm.
can. But your struggle is real for so many people.
Yeah.
But we don't have to keep pushing the hard button. We've
Hmm.
been doing that for a long time,
Yeah. Have we ever?
right?
Yeah.
The body knows. So when you feel the ache, when you feel the toxins building up, when you see the belly, or you get a disease, or you go to the doctor, they tell you, you have blood pressure, or, your sugar's high. The first thing you want to say to yourself is, the body's telling me something.
Hmm.
Okay, what is it? What is it that you want me to hear or see or understand? I'm ready. And then be prepared,
Mm.
because you will then, spirit will give you the insight, the wisdom that you need to see in order to transform what it is that you're going through, because there's something important there you need to learn.
Yeah. Amazing. What a
Makes it a
wild
whole lot
trip this
easier, right?
life.
That's one way of looking at it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love everything you've said, Elizabeth. And talking about parents, it's funny. I always said that to my mom and dad, like I was up on a cloud and I picked you two,
Yeah.
like yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you got it, girl.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
they were
for sure.
super excited because they have so many beautiful characteristics and personality traits for you to
Yeah,
learn from.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is amazing. I'm just like it's seeping into all my cells.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. Just the nuggets I share. I hope that they all resonated at whatever level your audience
Yeah.
is able and willing to receive. And yeah, that's the beauty of being able to be out here and be of service to all of you.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, Elizabeth, you can work with people wherever they are, right? You're not,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's the
good.
beauty of the pandemic. I used to
Hmm.
work just solely one on one in New York City, had a few clients here and there. But through the pandemic, I was able to then bring everything online and reach people from all ends of the globe. I have clients in Australia, Newfoundland, California,
Mm,
coast of the United States, Canada. So all
great.
over the place. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's so amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so happy for you. That is great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And that I love hearing that because, my business is so different from yours, but that's one of my pressure points where I'm like, there was a lot of stuff I was doing, expending a lot of my energy
Yeah.
that I don't want to give that away anymore. I
Yeah.
really, I seem to be thriving more online and
Yeah.
it's just the expenditure of energy, right? Like
Yeah.
where I'm putting my time. And yeah, our time is so valuable. So
It
you're
is.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is really good. That's great. So, Elizabeth, I want to invite you to a little after party on
Sure.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to put you back into the virtual green room. I always say grab a glass of champagne if you like. And
Awesome.
thank you so much for everything. And
Yes.
again, your story, my God, I am so honored that you shared that with all of us.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
We will see you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you needed that as much as I did. Oh my God, what a amazing woman. And yeah, just like, where did she come from? This is a sign that the universe is taking care of us. It was a totally by chance that I met Elizabeth, and wow. Have a great day, you guys. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Keep just stay centered, meditate, go for a walk, listen to water. Water is so healing. I love listening to the river. If you live in the Burlington area, Bronte Creek right now, it's just flowing. So much happening in there. So if you can go down there and just listen to some water and the birds and really get back in touch with nature, I think that's such a great starting point. So I wish you guys all the best. Please check out brendabadome.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 21% off of your order. If you are tuning into the show on YouTube, I would love for you to subscribe and tell all your friends. Thanks so much for tuning in, and keep on showing the world your sparkle, because you do it so well. Have a great day.